She told me that her approval came in 4 days. Oh, that is not 1 week. She doesn't want to add the public holiday and the weekend. Me, I'm adding the weekend and the public holiday. That's why I'm counting up to 7 days. But she's telling me that no, it's 4 days. That is 4 days. Her visa approval came in 4 days. Anyway, the approval came. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I see that I've gotten new subscribers to my channel. Thank you for subscribing. I'm so excited to have you all. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing on how I helped 2 families get their Canadian visas approved. The first family is a family of 5, and the second family is a family of 6. So I'll be sharing on the documents I submitted for their study visa, open work permits, and also study visas for the children. So before I get to that part, let me give you guys gist. Do you know that I've never met these families? I've not seen them. Maybe soon I'll get to see them because one of the families just arrived Canada last week, so we'll be meeting soon. And then the second family are yet to come. They are already preparing for their arrival. So after getting my visa approved in January, I started joining groups for my school, especially for my intake, so at least I can get to know more about my school and also get to know those that are for my intake. So I joined a Facebook group for my school. So I got to meet the wife of the first family in the same group, because I think there was a question or something like that. She made a comment and she said she's for so intake, which is my own intake. So we got chatting, and she got to ask about my visa application preparation, and I told her my visa was already approved, and she was surprised, like, when did I apply? How come I got approval so soon when my intake was that far? So I told her actually I applied with my husband and it was approved together, and she was surprised that I applied with my husband same time I got approval, because she was thinking, oh, she was planning to just go on her own and then her family will join her. Remember what I said in my last video, that the notion online is that if you have a study permit, get your visa approval first and maybe leave, get to Canada, and then you apply for your family. So that was her plan. So when I told her no, this is what I actually did, and we both got approval same time, she was like, so it's possible. I was like, yeah, it's possible. So she was like, she's preparing to do her own application and trying to use an agent. So I now encouraged her. Guys, I like families being together. I don't like it when I hear that families are apart because of visa. So I just like encouraging her, apply with your family, don't worry, it's possible, go together. No, don't do that, don't leave your family behind. And I know how it feels living abroad alone. It's really not good. If you're moving to a new place, move with your partner or your family. Just go with someone. It's really not easy adjusting to a new place alone. So with all this, I was just encouraging her, don't worry, apply together. And she was like, she doesn't want to start from the agent is charging her more or something like that. And the agent was not attending to her. Oh, it sounds like, okay. Then I was on holiday. I was very free, and I don't know, I just kind of felt pity towards, like, not pity, but I kind of felt, okay, John, okay, let me just help out, because I know how to do this thing, and I have free time, so let me just help them out. So I told her, okay, I'm going to do the application for you and your family. So that's how it started. Though she was so happy. I was like, don't worry, let's just try it. After all, if they reject you, you arrange yourself again and apply till you get approval. And guys, she was in it, she was willing. And one thing I really appreciated was that she was open, because she knew how this Canada visa application is. Sometimes you get approval, sometimes you don't. So like we had a talk, and then I asked for all their documents. I said making arrangements, and then it's through her the second family got to know me too. Because after the approval came in like 1 week, I just remembered. She told me that her approval came in 4 days. Oh, that is not 1 week. She doesn't want to add the public holiday and the weekend. Me, I'm adding the weekend and the public holiday. That's why I'm counting up to 7 days. But she's telling me that no, it's 4 days. That is 4 days. Her visa approval came in 4 days. Anyway, the approval came. So after her approval came in, she's actually friends with the second family. So when her approval came in, like with the excitement now, you just your friend about it. She not just said the other family, the wife of the other family, that approval, like she was so excited. They called me. I was like, they were surprised that I actually did it free for them, and it worked, and it was fast. So like, then the second family were not ready yet to start the application, but I think they were in the admission phase. So they had a talk with me. Okay, now when it's time, I'll at least assist them. That's just share how I did it, not to actually do the application for them. So when it was now time for the second family to do the application, because I was there to give advice, but like when the husband called and asking me questions, what to do, I felt somehow that, okay, if these people have all their documents ready, proof of funds ready, because I know these Canada people, the visa officers, they reject a lot of people, especially if your application is not okay. Even if you have millions of naira in your account, you still get, some people still get rejection. So I kind of felt pity. I was like, with all this, with everything ready, if I don't actually do this application, it may not turn out so. And I had enough time then, so I took the application and I told them, this is the only time I am free. If you don't send in your documents on time, I will not be able to do your application for you. So that same day, that was it it was last month. Yes, in May last month, the same day we had a talk. I started sending their documents, so I started arranging and sorting the documents, grouping the documents, because what I usually do is that for each family I sort out these documents. I create a folder for the family. Inside that folder, there are several folders for each member of the family, and then inside that same folder I will also create a separate folder for client info and proof of funds. So maybe in another video, when I'm talking about filling forms, I may give more tips on how to arrange documents. So that's how I did the application. And guys, I did the application in 3 days. If I remember it now, I don't even know how I was able to complete a family of 6 visa application in 3 days. When I say these 3 days, I mean I collected their documents in these 3 days, sorted and arranged the documents in these 3 days, and submitted the application in these 3 days. I really don't know how I was able to do that, Shabo. So I had enough free time then, because I just told myself that if I don't do it, if I'm not done in those 3 days, I'll not be able to continue, because I had other plans for the next week. It was like a weekend. So that's the gist to till approval time. Anyway, so I'm going to be mentioning the documents I submitted for the wife, the husband, and kids for each of these families. Their the number is kind of similar. It's a family visa application, so both applications, they are similar documents I submitted. So if there's any difference or additional documents for any family, I'll mention it. So I'm going to start with the document I submitted for the first family. The wife is actually the one on study visa, and then the husband open work permits, and then her 3 kids study permits. So for client info, I submitted SOP for her study permit, her resume, her birth certificate, her marriage documents, that's her church marriage certificate, court wedding certificates, affidavit to change of name, newspaper publication to change of name. All these are marriage documents. So if you don't have all of these, you can at least put one of it. It's just to show proof of marriage. You mustn't put all of them, but at least show proof of marriage. Yeah. I submitted a letter of introduction for her, her employment letter, CAC document for her NGO. She actually has an NGO, so I submitted a CAC document for her NGO. I also submitted other documents for her NGO, which I'll be mentioning later. I submitted a letter of recommendation from church for her. Like I mentioned before in my other video, wherever you can get a letter of recommendation that can vouch for you, if you're active in church, anywhere, like they write a letter of recommendation for you. If you're doing community development, if you're working with an NGO, even if you're not receiving pay, so if you're doing some work somewhere just to vouch for you, you can get a letter of recommendation from that place. I also submitted her BSc certificate, her postgraduate certificate. You mustn't submit the 2 of them, but if you have any proof of education anyway, just add it. If you actually have masters and the admission you got in Canada is what you call a degree, I don't think you have to submit your master's degree, because especially if you did not use your master's degree to get admission. So just submit only the certificates that is relevant to the admission application you did. I also submitted pictures. Her pictures contained her work pictures, that's pictures of her doing her normal work, then pictures with her husband and kids, and then pictures with her siblings, pictures with her mom, her dad, just extended family. I also submitted birth certificates of siblings. Both the pictures with families and birth certificates of our siblings are just to prove enough home ties. Even if you don't have their birth certificate, but at least have pictures with them, it's just to add additional home ties to your country. So for the other family, I also applied for a study visa for the wife. She doesn't work with an organization. She's actually a fashion designer, so there was no letter of employment and letter of recommendation from workplace, because she's actually running her own business. So in addition to her SOP, resume, birth certificates, marriage documents, and BSc certificates, and I submitted pictures of her doing her tailoring work. So if you have a business of your own, at this point you can also add pictures of you doing your work. If it's tailoring, if it's skincare product you are doing, if it's an online business, just add pictures. This is to show proof that you actually have a business. I also added pictures of her and her family, that's her husband and kids, and I also added pictures of her with her extended family, her siblings, her mom, her dad. Yeah, so, and also birth certificate of her siblings. If you cannot get the birth certificate of all your siblings, you can at least add the ones you have. If you don't have any, you can leave it like that. It's not compulsory, but to me, I feel this kind of helps with the home ties. For the proof of funds, for the first family, the wife actually sponsored herself for school, and then the husband was her sponsor for living expenses. So these are the documents I submitted for her. That's personal sponsorship, that's her sponsoring herself. I submitted a receipt of tuition deposits, employment letter, work ID, letter of recommendation, explanation of lump sum. Yeah, because there was lump sum sent into her account from her husband, so I had to add explanation of lump sum. Then 6 months statement of account of her savings, and then I also submitted her car papers. So all these documents is just to prove inflow and outflow of income. I will advise not just to merge your bank statements alone, but also merge documents that prove where you actually get your income from. That's why I add all these employment letters and everything on that proof of funds also. And then, like I mentioned, her husband was her sponsor for living expenses. So these are the documents I submitted for him under her proof of funds. I submitted a letter of sponsorship from the husband, declaration of support, marriage certificate, all the marriage documents, pictures with her, letters of recommendation for him, CAC documents. They actually have a business together, a poultry farm, so I submitted a CAC document for their family business. I also submitted properties owned. I submitted pictures of those properties and proof of ownership, that's of their poultry farm, duplex, story building. So if you have any kind of property, if you have pictures of it, houses, lands you have, just add all of these, make them together, and then proof of ownership, maybe documents to show that you actually own that property. Yeah, I also submitted his bank statement of savings, and also bank statements of their business accounts. For the second family, the husband actually sponsored the wife completely. The wife will sponsor herself. So these are the documents I submitted for him: letter of sponsorship, tuition deposits, marriage documents, pictures with the applicants, letter of last promotion, letter of introduction, investment letters, pension details, pay slips for 6 months, properties owned, pictures, proof of ownership. As you can see, all these documents are similar to what I submitted for the other family, but it's not the same documents I submitted, but they are kind of similar because their proof of funds are all different. I also submitted his bank statements, his DOM account, his salary account, and savings account. And then I also added her bank statement. Her account didn't have enough money because she didn't prepare her account before the visa application. So I asked the husband to at least send some money into her account. Yes, because it's not compulsory, but I advise for anybody that is sponsoring you, at least let them be evidence that this person has dropped something in your account. The documents I submitted for spouse open work permits for the first family are similar to the documents I submitted for my husband also. And in my last video, I shared on the documents I submitted for my husband's open work permit. So if you actually want to know the documents for spouse open work permits, do go back to my last video or head to my last video to know more about it, so I don't have to talk about it twice. So I'll be sharing on the documents I submitted for their children. All the documents are similar, yes. And the first family, the 3 kids all got study permits, and then the second family, they have 4 kids. 3 of them got study permits, and the last one is still young, so I got a visitor's visa for her, which she can actually change after entering the country. And then the husband too also apply for a visitor's visa because he's not ready to leave his job yet. So the documents I submitted for the kids of both families are all similar, so I'll be mentioning them now. The documents I submitted for client info are birth certificate, letter of introduction from school, recent school fees, recent school results, pictures with family, and pictures carrying out school activities, maybe with school uniform if you don't have pictures of them carrying out school activities. And then you can also add maybe if they have awards from their school, just anything that have to do with their school, you can add it up. And then in addition to these documents, I added documents of their sponsors. Yeah, the husbands in both families were the sponsors of the children. So that's the first family. The husband was the sponsor for the kids, and the second family also, the husband was the sponsor for the kids. So the sponsor details I added are letter of sponsorship, data page of international passports to prove identity, and then all the details I mentioned to cover for finance that were submitted for the wife. I also added all the documents here. That's employment letter, bank statements, properties owned, proof of ownership, all those documents. I don't want to mention them all over again, but I merged all these documents together and I submitted it under client info. So under the letter of acceptance, I had a letter of explanation from their parents, citing what's written in the Canadian immigration website, that minors who I think below the age of 19 do not need a letter of acceptance if their parents have a valid study permit. So I wrote a letter citing that. In addition to this, I also added schools they are likely to attend in the area they are going to stay. So for anywhere you're getting your study permit, or just you can look for schools in that area, primary schools, or is it elementary schools? You can look for schools your children can attend when they move to Canada. And in addition to this letter of explanation, I added their school documents. That's the letter of introduction from school, their last school results, their last school receipt, all their school documents. I just merged them together and uploaded it under the letter of acceptance. So these are the documents I submitted for both families. A lot of persons have been requesting I do a video on how to do family visa application. So this is it. So if you have questions or anything, do let me know in the comments section. I'll try to answer them and attend to them. I hope you'll be able to get enough clarity on how to do your visa application for your family through this video. Soon I'll be sharing on how to get admission. I'll be doing demo session on how to create an application on the IRCC portal, how to fill forms. I'll be sharing on how to write statement of purpose for admission, how to write statement of purpose for visa application, and several other things. Don't forget to ask your questions in the comment section, and if you want me to also share on something, do let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching today's video. Please, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do. Also like and share my videos. See you in the next video. Bye.